Hello, my name is Jerry, and I want to talk about the CAHOLD price pattern. CAHOLD, that stands for close above the high of the low day. And it's a very significant price pattern, and I heard about this pattern from James Boyd, I don't know how many years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And the first time I heard it, I didn't understand it. And it took me longer to code an indicator that actually showed it on the chart. And it's really not that hard once you get it. The premise of the indicator is that you're watching the bars, and every time you see a down day or a red candle, you look for the green bar, and if you can find a green bar that crosses above the high of the previous low day, that's a CAHOLD. So, and the count always works the same. You come down the list and you look for a red bar, and the red bar says, okay, there it is. So the high for the day, let's look over here for the high. For this particular one, the high is, it's going to be right there. So I'm going to read it off. The high for that day is 516. And the low for that day is 595. So if you can get a green bar to cross above 516, you've got a CAHOLD. So the next bar in here is green, and the high is only 513.51. But the bar after that wasn't red, it was green. It was high enough. Its high was 522.48, which was above the red bar. So every time you see one of these green bars with a little green dot that's below it, and I'm really zoomed in, that represents a CAHOLD signal. And the significance of the CAHOLD is that it always forms as, it will always be at the bottom of a trend reversal. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen every time there's a CAHOLD, but what it does mean is that whenever there's a trend reversal, the CAHOLD is going to be there. So in the case of this pattern right here, we had a bunch of red bars in a row, and then finally we got a CAHOLD. It crossed above it. It really couldn't push much above that, and it fell back down again. So, but as you look at these bars, you can kind of look at the green dots, and you can tell, is it, if you're in a rising trend, the green dots are going to steadily go up, and if it's not, they're going to continue to go down. So in case of this chart, we're looking at Adobe. This is the red bar. The red line on top is the 30-day simple moving average, and the dashed white line is the 10-day exponential moving average. And you can clearly see the red line is dominant, which means that the price is closing below the 30-day simple moving average, and the slope of the 30-day simple moving average is in fact down. So that kind of represents, that moving line kind of represents the support level that you have to cross over to become a bullish trend. And the bottom line is, whenever that happens, it will always be a CAHOLD that does it. So this isn't really fair. We're sitting here looking in a extremely bullish environment. I mean, you can look at this red line here, but if you go back, and the CAHOLD concept works for daily bars, and it also works for weekly bars. And let's go look at a 3-year weekly, because we were strongly bullish for a long time. And these represent, here's some green dots in here. I don't see any here, but here's a case of where we just we just closed above this red bar right here. And this is a weekly bar, so this is kind of a significant thing. And you can see that as we're going up, we're continuing to get higher CAHOLDs and higher CAHOLDs in the process. So that shows accumulation underway. But again, every time you have a bounce and the thing turns around, it's a CAHOLD signal. So whenever you find one of these things, this is an interesting trend. This is us falling down here. This is where we were just looking. We actually got a couple of these guys, and it looks like right now, in the last few weeks, we've had a number of CAHOLDs. They're trying to push to the upside, but in order to be anything positive, you've got to make it through this resistance line at the 30-week for the 30-week moving average. So one more thing I wanted to bring up that I've also done, and this was mentioned by James Boyd, and I'm going to whip in here and I'm going to show the whole ribbons, and we're going to turn on the I'm going to turn on the study, actually, is what I'm going to do. So show the ribbons, check. Don't show crossing. Show whole 15 reversals, check. Show 10-20 crossovers, check. Okay, so we're going to see all of that stuff in one shot. So, and the other thing I want to show is I want to show the posture. So it's not all holes. So here we are. Here's our CAHOLDs in here. And if we turn on the posture again, which I don't happen to show, but it would be bullish posture for the market forecast. Let's turn on this. James had a thing where he referred to these as strong CAHOLD buys, and what that meant was that, I'll show you what it means. So James Boyd referred to strong CAHOLD buys as having a CAHOLD where one of the whole moving averages was in an uptrend. So it's got to be, one of these has to be green or red. So if it's a strong buy, it means it's green or red. And the other qualifier that I added to it was it had to be in a, if it was on the bottom side, it had to be in a strongly bearish or slightly bullish market forecast posture. And when it gets those, I drew a line. The chart, the software draws a line underneath the green dot for the CAHOLD, and they are pretty rare. They don't happen all the time, but we do have cases of where they do happen, and I marked them, and you can see they're in there. But we do have a lot more CAHOLDs, and we do have those super CAHOLDs, and if you look at these things, sometimes they can bounce quite high, and they're just kind of more setup signals that you've got. And again, the question is, can you show these CAHOLD symbols on the watch list? And the answer is yes, you can. And if you look over here, CAHOLDs are represented by this orange color on the weekly bars, or for the daily bars on a week. It's the daily bars, or for the weekly percentage gain, or weekly bars for the monthly percentage gain. And so we happen to be on a daily chart, and if I click one of these guys here for AXP, it shows up as a CAHOLD. Here's a CAHOLD that we've got for that particular day. If it is a CAHOLD with a black letters, it just means it's a super CAHOLD. There's a special considerations in there. Don't get me wrong, CAHOLDs, all CAHOLDs are good. It's just that the ones that happen to have black numbers are just a little better. And again, if you happen to be looking on the weekly chart, with weekly aggregation. Here's the cat. Let's go to weekly. There's the 3-year weekly, and there's a strong hold here for Caterpillar for for last week. So, and that is in a nutshell about the CAHOLD price pattern. Again, it's just showing a potential reversal pattern taking place. And obviously, if you were to look at this, if you look at CAT for the daily chart, you're probably going to see something very similar for the day.